My name is Sophie. I am 34 years old. For the last 12 years, I kept something very big inside me. I never spoke about it. Not to my family, not to my friends, not even to myself. I lived a quiet life. I worked in a school canteen. I cleaned tables, served food, and washed dishes. I liked my job. It was simple and safe. I liked the small sounds of the kitchen, the hot plates, the running water, and the smell of lunch, but even when everything felt normal, I never felt free. I was always careful. I watched people. I stayed away from trouble. People at work thought I was shy. They said, "Sophie is quiet, she does not talk much." They smiled when they saw me and I smiled back. But inside I was not smiling. I felt afraid. Not because of the people around me, but because of what I knew. After work, I always went home. I lived alone in a small flat. My flat had one room, a small kitchen, and a bed by the window. I did not need much. I did not watch TV. I did not go out with friends. I just wanted to be alone. I wanted the world to forget me, but it was not always like that. When I was younger, I was happy. I had a best friend, her name was Erin. We went to school together. We walked home together. We ate lunch together. She was loud and funny. I was quiet, but she liked that. We were different, but we cared about each other. After school, we both started working. She worked in a mobile shop. I worked at a bakery. Then we didn't see each other every day, but we were still close. On weekends, we met at the park. We talked about boys, work, and our dreams. I remember one day we sat on the grass and she looked at me and said, "I feel something is coming, Sophie. Something big." She said it with a smile, but now when I think of it, I feel cold because after that everything changed. One evening Erin called me. Her voice was shaking. She said she needed to talk. I told her to come over. She came to my flat and sat on my bed. She looked scared, her hands were cold. I asked what happened. She said, "I saw something today. Something I wish I didn't see." I asked, "What do you mean?" She looked at me and said, "I can't tell you, but I think I'm in danger." I didn't understand. I asked, "Did someone hurt you?" She shook her head. "No, but I saw something. I think someone knows I saw it. I can't sleep." I felt a cold fear move through me. "What did you see?" She looked at me again. Her eyes were full of fear. "I can't tell you now, but I'm going to the police." I have to. I wanted to ask more, but she stood up. She said, "You'll know soon, Sophie. I just wanted to tell someone." Then she left. That was the last time I saw Erin. 2 days later, I heard the news. A girl was found near the river. She was gone. It was Erin. I fell to the ground when I heard it. I could not speak. I could not cry. I just sat there shaking. I called the police. I told them Erin came to my flat. I told them she said she saw something and she felt scared. I told them everything I could remember. The officer said, "Thank you. We will call you if we need more help." But no one called. A few weeks later, the case was closed. They said it was an accident. She slipped and hit her head. But I didn't believe that. I saw her face. I saw her fear. Erin did not slip. Something happened to her, something bad. But I stayed silent. I told the police what she said, but I didn't tell them the most important thing because I saw something, too. I never told them that. After Erin died, I stopped talking to people. I left the bakery. I moved to a new town. I started working in the school canteen. I made new rules for myself. No friends. No late nights, no questions. I told myself I was safe. But I knew I was hiding. Every year on her birthday, I sat alone and thought about her. I looked at the small photo I kept in my drawer. She had her arm around me in that picture. She was laughing. I was looking at her, smiling, and every year the same thought came to me. I should have told the truth. I told myself, next year I will speak. But I never did until one morning everything changed. It started like any other day. I walked to work. I tied my apron. I served lunch. But just before the lunch break ended, a group of visitors came in. They were giving a talk to the older students. I was cleaning the trays, not looking up. But then I heard a voice I hadn't heard in 12 years. That voice, it stopped me. I turned my head and looked at the man speaking to the students. He was smiling. He wore a nice suit. He looked calm, but I felt sick. My hands started to shake because I knew that face. He was there that night. The night Aaron died. He saw me and I saw him. I dropped the tray. It made a loud noise. Everyone turned to look at me. I picked it up and walked quickly to the back room. I sat on the floor. My head was full of noise. For 12 years, I told myself I was safe. I told myself I didn't need to say anything. But now he was here in the same building. I could not stay silent anymore. I had to speak. I sat in the back room holding my hands together. They were shaking. I felt cold. My heart was beating fast, but my body was still. I could not stop thinking about that man. His voice, his face, his smile. He looked so calm, like nothing had ever happened. Like no one was missing, like Aaron never existed. I waited until the students left the room. I didn't go back to the kitchen that day. I told the manager I was not feeling well. I walked home slowly. My legs felt heavy. My head was full of old memories I had pushed away for years. When I got home, I sat on the edge of my bed and tried to breathe. I looked at the small photo on my table, the one with Aaron and me. Her smile, her laugh, her voice in my mind saying, "You'll know soon, Sophie." Now I knew. Or maybe I always knew that man, the one from the school, was the same man I saw outside Aaron's work the night she came to see me. He was standing near a black car. I didn't think about it at the time, but when I saw him again today, everything came back. That night after Aaron left my flat, I went to return a coat she forgot. I saw her across the street walking fast. She stopped near the shop. A man was waiting for her. They spoke for a few seconds. She looked angry. He grabbed her arm. She pulled away. Then they got into his car. I was across the street. I did not hear the words. I did not see where they went. That was the last time I saw her alive. And that was the man I saw today. I never told the police. I told them Aaron came to my flat. I told them she was scared. But I didn't say I saw her get into a car with a man. I told myself it was not my place. I told myself maybe it was nothing. But the truth is I was scared. I was only 22. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to be part of something dark. But now 12 years later, I saw his face again and he was giving a speech to children. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I called in sick again. I sat in my room thinking. I looked at my phone, opened the police website, and read about how to report old cases. My hands were shaking again. I closed the phone and put it down, but my mind didn't stop. I walked to the park near my house. I sat on a bench and watched people walk by. I wanted to feel nothing, but I felt everything. A girl walked past me. She was laughing with her friend. She looked like Aaron. The way she smiled, the way she moved. My throat felt tight. I looked away. I stayed on that bench for a long time. When I went home, I picked up my phone again. I stared at the screen. Then I called a number. It was the local police station. A woman answered, "Hello. How can I help you?" I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. I almost ended the call, but then I heard Aaron's voice in my head. I remembered the fear in her eyes. The last hug she gave me. I spoke. "My name is Sophie Green. I need to talk about an old case, a girl named Erin Thomas. She died 12 years ago. I saw something that night. I think it's time to tell you." The woman was quiet for a second, then she said, "Please stay on the line. I'll connect you to someone." I waited. My hands were cold. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a high place. But I didn't turn back. A man came on the line. He asked me to come in the next day and speak in person. He said he would open the file again. That night I didn't sleep. I lay in bed and stared at the wall. My heart was tired, but I knew I was doing the right thing. The next morning, I put on my best coat. I walked to the station. I sat in a small room and told them everything from the last time I saw Aaron to the man by the car. I gave them his face, his voice, his car. I told them where he worked now. I told them he was at the school yesterday. They wrote everything down. When I left the station, I felt light. I didn't smile, but I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt brave. A week passed. Then another. One afternoon, the police called me again. They asked me to come in. When I got there, they said they checked the old files. They checked the CCTV from the shop across the street. The camera had old footage from that night. They found it. Aaron was there. The man was there. The black car was there. They had never seen that video before. It was sent to the wrong place back then. No one opened it, now they had it. I sat in the room with the officers. I watched Aaron walk across the street. I saw the man come near her. I saw her pull away. I saw him take her arm. I saw them walk out of the frame. The police paused the video and looked at me. Do you know who he is? I nodded. Yes, I said. He works at the school, his name is Alan Murray. They looked at each other. One officer said, we know that name. They didn't say more, they told me they would follow up. They thanked me, they said I did the right thing. When I walked out of the station, it was raining. I didn't have an umbrella. I didn't care. I looked up at the sky. For the first time in 12 years, I didn't feel small. I felt seen. 2 days later, the police called again. They told me they had more people coming forward. One woman said the same man had scared her once. Another said he was her manager and made her feel unsafe. No one had ever spoken before, but now they were because I did. That night, I sat by my window and looked out at the quiet street. I still missed Aaron, that would never change. But I felt closer to her now that I had done what I promised. Even if the promise was only in my heart. I stayed silent for 12 years. But not anymore. After I gave my statement to the police, things started to move quickly. I didn't expect it. For so long, nothing had changed. Aaron's name was just a small file in a closed case, but now, everything was different. The truth was finally waking up. 2 days later, I was asked to return to the station. The same officers were there. Their faces looked more serious this time. One of them said, Sophie, we believe you. And others are coming forward too. My hands were still shaking, but this time it was not from fear. It was from something else. Something like relief. They asked more questions. I answered them all. I gave names, places, times. I was ready. I no longer felt like the quiet girl in the background. I was not hiding anymore. I wanted them to know everything. I wanted them to know Aaron mattered. A few days later, I saw the news. The man, Alan Murray, was taken in for questioning. He was not charged yet, but the police now had enough to investigate him properly. I watched the report from my flat. They showed his face on the screen. That same face I saw 12 years ago. That same smile, but now it didn't look calm. It looked nervous. They didn't mention Aaron's name in the report. It was too early, but I knew what it was about. I turned off the TV and sat in silence. I thought of Erin again. I wondered what she would say if she were here now. Maybe she would smile and say, finally. Or maybe she would just hug me. I missed her hugs. The next day, I got a message. A woman named Leah wanted to speak with me. She was one of the other women who came forward. We agreed to meet at a small cafe near the town center. When I walked in, I saw her sitting by the window. She stood up and smiled softly. We talked for almost an hour. She told me she worked with Alan a few years ago. He made her feel uncomfortable. He never touched her, but he said things that made her afraid. She reported it to her manager, but no one believed her. She left the job a month later. She said I was only 20 at the time. It was my fault. I told her I understood. I told her she was not alone. After our talk, we stayed in touch. She said talking to me made her feel stronger. I felt the same. I was not used to having someone new in my life, but this felt different. It felt like we were part of something bigger than just our own pain. We were holding up the same truth. We were both giving Aaron a voice again. A few weeks later, I was called to give an official statement. It was longer and more detailed. I sat in a room with 2 officers and told the full story from the start, every part, every memory. I cried a few times, but I didn't stop. I wanted every word to matter. I didn't want Aaron to be just a line in a report. She was a person, a friend, a girl with a big laugh and a big heart. After the statement, I went home and sat at my window. It was raining again. The weather often matched my feelings, like the sky understood something about sorrow, but this time it felt peaceful. I wasn't hiding anymore. A few days passed. Then I got another call. This time it was someone from a newspaper. They were writing a story about reopened cold cases. They heard about Aaron's case being active again. They asked if I wanted to speak. I said no at first. I didn't want to be in the news. I didn't want my face in papers, but after thinking for a night, I called back and said yes, but only if Erin's name was treated with care. The story came out 2 weeks later. It was a long article. It didn't show my face or name, but it told the story of a young woman who stayed silent for 12 years and then came forward. It talked about truth, fear, and how silence can protect you, but also trap you. It said, sometimes the bravest thing is to speak even when the world has already moved on. I kept a copy of that article. I folded it and placed it behind the photo of Erin on my table. It wasn't justice yet, but it was something. It was light where there used to be only dark. Then one evening, the phone rang. It was the police again. They said Alan was arrested not just for Erin's case, but for other charges, too. Things people never reported until now, but now, the silence was broken. I sat down slowly. My hands covered my mouth. I did not cry. I just sat there for a long time, letting the words stay in the air. Arrested. After 12 years, the officer said, your statement helped reopen everything. You did the right thing. When the call ended, I went to my window again. I looked outside and saw a group of kids laughing on the street. They reminded me of us, me and Erin years ago, walking home from school, laughing, not knowing what life would bring. I hoped these kids would never have to carry what we carried. Later that week, I went back to the park where Erin and I always met. I sat on our old bench, the one near the tall trees. I brought 2 flowers. I placed one next to me and held the other in my hand. I sat there in silence for a long time. I spoke out loud for the first time, not to anyone in front of me, but to her. I'm sorry I waited so long. I should have said something. I should have fought harder. But I'm speaking now, and I'll keep speaking for you. A light breeze passed through the trees, the leaves moved gently. It felt like a small answer. A month later, I was invited to speak at a small event for women who survived fear and chose to speak up. I said yes. I wrote my speech on a small card. When the day came, I stood in front of a group of people I didn't know. My voice was soft at first, but it got stronger with each word. I kept a secret for 12 years. I thought it was better to stay quiet. I thought I was safe, but silence does not protect truth. It hides it. And truth matters, even if it comes late, even if no one is listening at first. Speak when you're ready. Speak. Even if you shake. I'm here today because I finally spoke. The room was quiet, then someone clapped. Then more people. I sat down and breathed deeply. After the event, a woman came up to me. She didn't say anything at first, she just hugged me. She said, you gave me courage. I smiled and said, you already had it. That night, I went home and looked at myself in the mirror. I saw someone different. Not because my face had changed, but because I was no longer the same inside. I was no longer the quiet girl from the school kitchen. I was someone who stood up, someone who remembered, someone who made Erin's voice heard again. Time doesn't always heal. But truth can, and even if it comes late, it can still change everything. I will never forget Erin. I will never stop missing her, but I will keep telling her story. I will keep her light alive. I stayed silent for 12 years, but not anymore. Now I speak. We all go through hard times, but stories like this can help us feel seen. Thank you for watching and come back for more real moments.